Yeah, you know what it is. Welcome to the best coast. Yo, it's Bronze Age nerd with that collecting elite. Big B McFly, steady bringing the vintage heat. Pull up a seat, we diving in the stacks. Silver to the bronze, got the knowledge on tap. From Kirby's Kings to the mutants, wow. We breaking it down in that laid-back style. So grab your snacks, let the panels unfold. This is comic book chilling with the stories we told. Comic book vibes, we flipping them pages. Legends and lore from all the ages. Golden to the modern, we talk that news. With Big B McFly and the nerd cut loose. Yo, you tune into that Bronze Age flow, where comics live and legends grow. Big B McFly in the cut, let's fly. Best coast, baby, comics are what saved me. Big B, yeah. Baby, comics are what saved me.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? I am Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and for once, not as always as I would normally say, I'm actually not joined by Big B McFly, who is dealing with an illness and kind of needed the night off. So I'll be your sole host for the evening. So kind of a little bit different, but hey, everybody, do me a favor. Send some positive vibes Big B's way so we can make sure he gets better and be back next week. Just to let you know, I am still streaming to Big B's channel, Big B McFly on YouTube. Also to my channel, I'm Bronze Age Nerd, as well as the EXP network of channels. That's their YouTube, their Facebook, their Instagram, their Twitch. Links for all the YouTube pages are in the description below. Highly recommend giving them a follow and subscribe because you're going to enjoy some of the content over there. I just have a feeling if you enjoy this show at all. Yeah, the Lone Beard, thank you very much. That's our producer Jay in the background there. And we do have a few other comments that beat him to the feed, and that is GT Key Comic holding it down, as well as Comic Tropes coming in to say, I hope they have a tug of war tonight to determine who is better, comics or manga. Well, you know what? Let's run with that idea, and I'll go ahead and hold the comic side. And we'll let my co-host hold the manga side, and we'll just, oh, guess what? Comics wins. Comics wins. It was rigged. It was, hashtag rigged in the chat, folks. And then Hydra Asylum, aka our producer Jay. By the way, check out Hydra Asylum Comics and Comic Tropes over on YouTube as well. A couple other great channels. Thank you guys for being here. But he gets the bronze medal, the third place finish, which as Bronze Age Nerd, I think that's the most important one, but other people may agree. Hey, I appreciate that, Mr. Nope. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it very much. So I have a loaded show tonight with lots of news topics and interesting things to talk about. I also have updates. So in a way, maybe it's a little fitting that it's just me riding solo tonight. I want to provide some updates. So last week we did a claim sale, which, by the way, all of the items from the claim sale went out. Thanks to everybody who joined. Big B and I have had this conversation a bunch of times, this goal where we do want to sell more comic books. We want to be more focused on things that we want in our personal collection for the rest of our lives, and not, a bunch of stuff that we've kind of accumulated over the years, right? So this kind of serves that goal. It's why we go to things like the Frankenstein comic swaps, and both of us have kind of been trying to push each other to sell more online. We don't really do a lot of that. That went pretty well. For the time being, what we'd like to do is the final Monday show of every month, we're going to do a claim sale. So that was the final Monday show of January. That worked out pretty well. It's just kind of an easy way to remember it. So the final Monday of February, which I should have looked ahead of time to see what that's going to be. That's to be the 23rd, it looks like, will be a comic book claim sale. And we'll kind of keep going and see how that goes. If you guys get sick of it, don't worry. We'll pivot. We'll keep paying attention to our audience. But we just think it'd be fun. So people that want to come in just for the claims know to do that. People that are like, I don't really need to watch a claim show, you can avoid it if you want to. Hopefully you still tune in, because that would be great. And then we'll give us a chance to actually hopefully maybe take some requests throughout the month, kind of curate things, post some teasers, hopefully. Something we both struggle at doing, but we should do more of it. So thanks everybody who came out to the claim sale. Another couple of updates that I'm just going to get out of the way before I jump into news or showing off comic books or any of that kind of stuff. I'll just be straight up honest. I've been doing Heroes for Heroes real quick elevator pitch for the 7 of you watching right now, but maybe there's some people watching on the rewind that don't know what Heroes for Heroes is. I started a charity a few years ago. It's really a fundraiser for a charity. I shouldn't say I started a charity. I started a fundraiser for a charity for veterans. And the fundraiser is the comic book community trying to get everybody together, artists, writers, creators, fans, collectors, veterans in the community that are wanting to help out to raise money for veterans that deal with mental health problems and things like self-harm and those kind of topics, and their immediate families as well. And so we help out a group called Mission 22. I've been doing that for a few years. We've raised over $20,000 for Mission 22. It's been amazing. We've had a lot of great support. It has been, for whatever reason, pretty draining on me. And my goal is to not end that, but I do need to take a little bit of a modification this year for our approach to Heroes for Heroes. And so what we came up with, I was kind of talking to Big B. I think what we're going to do this year is not do a big live auction that involves a lot of planning, a lot of prep, and honestly, a lot of stress that comes with it. And instead, focus on a couple other things, a couple other initiatives, which is so those claim sales that we're going to be doing, we're going to take 10% of everything we make, Big B and myself. We're going to take 10% at the end of the show from what we make from you guys before we ask for shipping or anything like that. And we're going to put it into our fund that we use for things like, hopefully that'll cover shipping so that we don't have to charge shipping for Heroes when we ship out art and comics as much as we can cover. Or maybe we can, try to get some commissions done from artists that are maybe a little bit, just kind of outside our network, or that have agreed to join us, but people would like to see items from them, and we would bring in money for the charity, stuff like that. And it's something we've been talking about. And so, yeah, going forward, 10% of those, the take basically is going to go to that. And that's one way we're going to kind of help get Heroes for Heroes going throughout the year. Obviously, when you help out with me, the Bronze Age Nerd, on my own channel with channel memberships, some of that goes to that as well. That's kind of what I use that for. Things that directly benefit the channel, Heroes for Heroes specifically. Also, in addition to that, we are probably going to end up with some items throughout the year. And what I would like to do is, does my mic keep moving, or do I keep moving? Which one is it? Let's find out. I think it's me. What I'd like to do is run some items through some untraditional resources. So I'll just say this: there has been no arrangement made, but places like Shortboxed, or places that are comic book specific marketplaces, I'd like to reach out and see if we could get like a storefront or a marquee auction or something like that, where we could kind of put up some of those items that might have a different reach than we have in the buyers that we've connected with. Additionally, we might put some things up for like Instagram claim sales that can run on kind of like a slow auction, where people can do replies and have that go over a period of, maybe a week or two or something like that, as opposed to, hey, you got 2 minutes to buy this. And then whoever's watching might get a great deal, but a lot of people who weren't seeing that at that time kind of go back and go, oh gosh, I wish I could have bid on that. So that's an idea. There's this illusion that the mic is slowly moving away from your face. I'd like to encourage that. What's up, Dirt Bike Lover? How you doing? It's stronger than the other two. They made weapons with it. There you go. Yeah, that's a good point. Bronze Age is definitely the predominant one. What if you took that money from a bank? You could do a heist, and then we could live stream the heist, so we get all the views from that. Yeah, that's an option. It's definitely something that we could explore. But that's kind of the idea. That's kind of where I'm going. So, as we were to kind of come up with this idea of doing late spring, early summer, kind of around Memorial Day auctions. And I've got Emerald City Comic Con, where I'll be on a panel with a few other amazing individuals, and I'll talk about that more in a second. But I have that coming up at Emerald City Comic Con, and as I'm doing that, I'm thinking about other cons that I'm going to be going to and other things that are going to be coming up. It just started getting kind of daunting. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got a lot to do. and I'm still working on my final commission from this last year's Heroes for Heroes, and that's the final thing that needs to go out. But it's like I'm still not even done with that technically. So it's been a lot. I am really thankful, that I'm getting opportunities to go to conventions and stuff like that too. But the good news is I get to network with people and hopefully bring more people into Heroes for Heroes because of that. So it's possibly a good thing. Maybe this year I'll take it as a initiative to kind of build up some grassroots, maybe kind of build up the channel a little bit more, hopefully, so that we have a stronger base going into things like auctions going forward, like in 2027. So there will be a new link eventually available for 2026 for Heroes from Mission 22. I'm going to coordinate with them on getting that set up. And then that's kind of what it's going to look like going forward. And shout out to Bigby, my co-host, who's hopefully from his bed, hopefully getting some rest, nice enough to tune in and say some kind words. So that would be the plan that we came up with and kind of we're okay with. And shout out to him. I just straight up said, like, I'm getting a little, I don't know if burnout's really the right word, but it's feeling like a grind. And I'm feeling like, okay, I've got to kind of pick and choose my battles. I've got some other stuff going on. I want to make sure that this is more successful in the long run instead of burning myself out year after year for the short run for the veterans. And so we're going to continue to do something. It's probably going to be a much more modest goal. We'll have a new link. We're working with a business to get a donation from them that was made before. That could be really beneficial for the charity. And then we'll work on making it better. So that's kind of the update for that. Okay, the update about Emerald City Comic Con. Yes, I'll be at Emerald City Comic Con on Saturday. That's Saturday, March 7th, I want to say. Saturday, March 7th. I have a panel that I will be on stage with Joel Gibson, DJ Kirkland, Ashley, Victoria Johnson, and Comic Tom 101. Sorry, Ashley Robinson. Ashley Robinson. I'm sorry. Got her name wrong. But yeah, and Tom Garcia from Comic Tom 101. And we'll be doing a comic panel about getting people into comic books. Like, how do you get people into comic books? Shout out to Joel for setting that up and inviting me, that was just a very nice, pleasant surprise. I've never been to Emerald City before. It's been one of those ones that I've always had something come up around that time and just never saw the reason to get there. And I'm excited to check it out. Excited to meet anybody who wants to meet up there. Happy to see you there. I'm almost certainly only going to be there on that Saturday. I think the pass is good for all 3 days, but I'm not sure that I'll be able to make it up there. I'll try to make it up there, but it's going to be Saturday for sure. Wake by the power of your voice on the ether waves. Hey, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And thank you, Eli Pickworth, for showing up. What is up? There's a minimal chance that I will do some dancing on stage. However, there is a moderate chance that I will do some karaoke. No, not really. I want to be respectful to my other panel members and not dominate. No, let's be honest, Chris. They couldn't handle that. That's just not gonna work. It's not a no to the dancing. Yeah, I love it. So hey, expect more. I'll be promoting my panel mates as time goes on here and talking about them a little bit more. So you'll get a chance to follow along with them. Saw a couple of them follow me, which was really cool today. I appreciate that. Made sure to follow them back. So that was really awesome. What else is going on? Oh, I do want to, before I get into the news, we'll do community art at the end of the show like we always do. Before I get into the news, I do want to show off some cool stuff I got. Mostly, I really want to show off two things. One thing here I'll show off at the end because it's pretty special. But I actually just through a planning mix-up, I didn't end up with a few of my books that I got from Heroes for Heroes because I was, if you don't remember, I was leaving in a rush because my daughter was going to the hospital. And so I was trying to quickly grab my stuff and get out the door. And I just left some of my comics in a different box. So finally got those back. I got, let's see here. What's the correct order to show this off? It goes, I think this is the one that starts on left. These are connecting covers. These are Mark Spears Connecting Absolute book. So they're all additional. I can't remember if it's the third printing or something like that, but got Absolute Superman #1, Mark Spears Absolute Batman #1. Very cool. Kind of this title that people are just, starting to find out about. And then Absolute Wonder Woman #1. So very awesome Mark Spears books there. I definitely wanted to make sure those went for a good amount for the donations for Heroes for Heroes. And then from the claim sale, I actually did get I got a book from Bigby, and then it was really cool. Somebody who was also making some claims. I was saying, hey, I'll claim that if no one else does, because no one had claimed it for a minute. And I said, give everybody else a chance first. And Mr. McGroovy, shout out to you if you were watching on the rewind, claimed those books. And I was like, hey, great. I'm glad somebody claimed them. Unknown to me, he actually gifted them to me. So that was really amazing of him. But these were Bigby's books he had up for offer. First up, I didn't have a copy of this, so I was happy to get it. Something is Killing the Children 0. I'm a big Something is Killing the Children fan. Love that book. Can't wait for adaptations to come and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't read 0, so I'm excited to read that. And then I always love picking up copies of Strange Academy 1. This was the 4th printing version of that, so I was happy to get that. And you know what, Mr. McGroovy, you were very groovy for doing that. I appreciate it. Yes, it's a very weird. If nobody's seen it, I can send you a video of a really good like dead mall tour. It's not technically a dead mall. I mean, it's a dying mall, but I can send you a really good tour of that if you ever want to see where Frankenstein happens. But it's a very clean, nice, safe show. I don't want to make it sound like it's like sketchy or something, but it's a weird place. And then I have to put this up. It's been a while since we've seen this proper, but Bigby Bigby was thinking of me, and got a little Josh Burns goodness here. Local Man variant here from 616. I do it just for whatever reason. I think booty covers are great, so pick that up. And then I don't know. I don't know if that's safe for work. So we'll do the quick show on the Love Sick #6 there. That's it. Hopefully that's safe for work. It's questionable. But here's the big book I actually did get from Bigby. I have an FF48, and I've always kind of been curious about getting some of the other big Silver Surfer books. It's not a key for any main reason other than the cover, and that's FF72. Absolutely beautiful. Love that. Another big one I want to get, which ties into some of the news, unfortunately, I have to talk about, is Silver Surfer #4. The classic cover there. Last thing, this is the thing I really wanted to show, so I wanted to show off stuff I picked up this week. Shout out to Edward Lilly, who did some amazing art. First time doing pencil and pens for in a while for him. He's been doing mostly other mediums, and he picked it back up, and he did his first piece. And I said, hey, are you going to sell that? Because I am very interested. He did this awesome Cyclops piece. That's very cool. And I was very excited to get it from him. So shout out to him on that one. Very, very cool. I'm very excited to have that piece. So that's gonna have to be displayed at some point here. I got to get a frame for that. Thank you very much, Edward. You've seen him a lot on the community art segment. Let's see. Hey, what's up? Acres of Movies. How you doing? Thanks for being here. Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks to you for watching the show. Yeah, we do want to keep the positive flowing. I agree with my co-host here, but as much as we preach, got to take care of ourselves so the positivity can keep rolling. Fear not, true believers. I like that message. And then I saw Chris's message and talked about that already. Do you have a favorite live wire appearance in DC Comics? So I'm kind of infamously not a big DC aficionado. I love a lot of DC characters and comics. One of the comics on my hunting list right now is the first appearance of Livewire. I only really know her from appearances in DC animation, and I know very little about her in comics. I have runs of DC Comics I've collected and read. But I just have and a lot of Batman stuff throughout the years, like a lot of the big story arcs and stuff, but and some Green Lantern. But other than that, I have big gaps, and I don't know a lot of more minor characters. I hope that's okay to say, but that's a character I'm more interested in. I always think uh, badass female characters are really cool, so I tend to gravitate towards those. Harley Quinn, that kind of stuff. So I'm interested. So if you have recommendations on Livewire Comic Street, I'd love to hear them. Beautiful. Big book by Bigby, big book by Bigby, big book by Bigby, big book by Bigby, big book by Bigby. Yeah, okay, I screwed up the last time for sure. What's up, Matt, by the way? Thanks for being here, sir. Yeah, it was a really great piece. Oh, you were setting your garage on fire. Well, I don't want to keep you from your garage fire. By the way, garage fire, garage on fire does sound like a prog rock or indie rock band name, just to let you know. Hopefully everything is okay. Hopefully you're safe. Man, I'd like to hear the story behind that one, Phil. Don't live up to your name too much, Psycho Phil. Ooh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I don't know why exactly. I'm always surprised by these things, but I hear Mark Wade has some haters out there. I've nothing but love for Mark Wade. I've everything I've read of his I like, and I met him. He was a very very nice guy. I met him a couple times I think now. So oh yeah, maybe so, maybe so. Oh man, that's too bad. Well, hopefully everything's safe, and hopefully your comics are far away from your snowblower catastrophes and your garage. Sorry, man. I'm laughing. Hopefully everything's okay. I've had some really dumb stuff happen this last week where I felt like an idiot for almost setting things on fire or almost breaking things or whatever. So I do want to get to the news. Unfortunately, wow, why is that loading? So do I have to make that window a little bit larger for it to load correctly? Nope, it just does not want to load much. Okay, it's an NBC News website. I'm going to get to the news. I'll play our intro, but it's obviously a little out of date with just me here, but I'll still play it. Let's get to the news. All right, so this is maybe not the most comic book related. I do cover pop culture, I guess, a little bit. Big B and I do. No, I'm not going to the Original Art Expo later this month, unfortunately, Popsequentials. Thank you for asking. But I will be at Emerald City. I don't know if you were around for that part of the show. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good, Chris. I don't make it to a lot of other cons that are outside the Pacific Northwest. In fact, I don't make it to any cons that are outside the Northwest. I'm not going to try to oversell it there, mostly due to scheduling, budgetary. My primary job is a stay-at-home dad. I need to be around for that so my wife can be at her work, which is a very demanding position. So, I do this as a side hustle, and when my kids not need me. So, which, by the way, make some correlations there for where there's a little less content sometimes. But yeah, we do have to talk about this real fast. So Catherine O'Hara, an actress I've been a fan of for years and years and years. I'm sure many of you have as well. Did pass away, and this is a little bit older, but keep in mind we did the claim sale show last week, and a few of these news items are a little bit older. And it's just sad. It's just sad. It's one of those things where I guess it's part of getting a little bit older. In my mid 40s now, and just starting to see people that you grew up with just not there anymore, and start to fall off. And it always is a heartbreaking thing. But big fan, loved her range, loved so much stuff about her. And it's just unfortunate. It's just really unfortunate. So, yeah, great career. Hopefully she can be really proud of that. So, definitely heart goes out to her family. That's too bad. Ooh, this is a great question. SSFD says, what is the best comic insurance company for protecting their collection? And that's a really good question. I think it depends a little bit on what exactly you want to have insured. Uh, I can tell you this: if you go through most national home and renters insurance companies, you have to be extremely vigilant and clear on what your policy protects. It's a great question. One that I probably should dive a little bit more into as a full topic. I believe I don't know if he's got a show right now where he could really kind of talk about this and cover this, but I think producer Kyle at the EXP is a really good person to ask about this. As his family, he's kind of notoriously said they have a like kind of a joint collection of a lot of nice books, and it's insured. Probably worth asking him about that. Probably get his take more than mine because it does depend. But I'll just say if you think you're covered because you're like, oh, I've got homeowners insurance, I've got renters insurance, whatever it is, definitely check that policy. Yeah, generational comic wealth is a really good way to put that for Kyle. Um, I know he briefly brought up a couple suggestions on our show. I can't remember the names of who he used. I think there's one that's called something like collectors or collectibles insurances in the name. That's what I recall. And for me right now, I'll just kind of say like I'm fairly covered through my renter's insurance. I specifically went with a policy that covers some of my stuff, but I'm still a little shaky on that and wish that I had more dedicated coverage. So it's something I'm thinking about too, which makes it a good topic to talk about, I think. Great question. One I'll keep up on. So I hate to just kind of talk about these depressing type things, but they are real and they do happen, and we do need to talk about them. They're important. Uh, let's see, I think that was a different article here that I shared about this. Yes, let's do this one. There were a couple in my news feed. By the way, I do have a Discord server. The link is in the description below if you want to join that. But there's a news channel. People share links, and I just kind of had to pick one to choose for this. This is the news about Sal Buscema passing away. Just legendary, especially at Marvel. If you read Marvel in the Bronze and Copper Age and into the modern age, you've encountered his work. We talked about Silver Surfer and how I'm collecting Silver Surfer iconic covers, and there's one that'll come up for Sal here. We actually had no, those were John Buscema. Sorry, I was gonna say I thought we had Sal Buscema autograph books for Heroes, and it kind of just came up. But this is sad. So he passed away on his birthday, is what I saw. Is either his birthday or the day after, because he was born on January 26th. I'm trying to remember which day it was. In 1936, so he was 71. I think that's what the age he was when he passed away. I can't do the math off my head. Oh, yeah, sorry, 89. 89. There it is. Way off. This is again, I was just talking about this. We were talking about heroes, idols, comic tropes, in a completely different context. Mentioned Stan Lee, which is somebody who I've kind of told this anecdote several times. For a while, I was kind of out of comics as far as collecting goes, and so I wasn't going to conventions and stuff, and I was really just kind of on the back burner. Like, I need to make sure to get to a convention where Stan Lee's at. It's not like he wasn't doing appearances. At the time, he definitely had been. And then I just waited too long, and now I'll never get to meet Stan Lee. And maybe that would have been a very quick interaction at a Stan Lee line at a Comic-Con at that time. It might have been very transactional in some ways. I'm sure it wouldn't have meant anything necessarily to Stan, but it would have been something to me. And it's just one of those things where I always try to say this, if you ever have creators who are of any age that you really want to meet and you have an opportunity to meet them, I would meet them. Because you never know. It was 3 days before his, thank you for the clarification on that. 3 days before his 90th. I think my mic stand is moving, by the way. So shenanigans. Hopefully, if the mic goes off to the point where you can't hear me very well, please let me know in chat, because that would bother the hell out of me, and I can't hear myself talking. So through the stream, at least. Yeah, I have a lot of people mentioned this about the Hulk run. which is not one that I was reading at the time. It was a little before my time. I've certainly gone back and seen parts of it. But just I mean, there's nothing you can if you were, especially if you're a Marvel fan, there's nothing you can look at. You can't throw a stone without hitting the legacy of Sal Buscema. And I think when Bigby actually was the one that told me about this. He said, "I just heard Sal Buscema died." I think I said something to the effect of, somebody passes away at the age of 89. I don't want to say that's a good thing, but I do want to say it's definitely better than somebody who passes away and somebody we lose 40, 50 years too young, right? So what I would say is to this is that hopefully um, Sal lived a full life and did everything he wanted to do, and hopefully he was surrounded by family. I don't know a lot of the details around that part of things, but that's just what I think about. And the biggest thing that I can say as a comic fan is I just hope that he knows what an impact he had on so many people. Popsequentialism in the chat here. Sal's run on Hulk in the 70s was the comic of my youth. There's so many, I have a good friend who's his favorite character is the Hulk. He's just a big Hulk fan. A lot of things in his identity are centered around the Hulk, like names of online handles and all that kind of stuff are all about the Hulk. And I know this was a really rough one for him too. It really affects the fans in a big way because while they're still out there, even if they're not very active and they're not in like the zeitgeist, they're still out there. You still think of them as like a living legend, right? And I remember, having that feeling about, probably one of the closer I've met somebody to their passing, unfortunately, was when Jim Shooter passed away. And I remember feeling that, being around him, like I just seeing the name, just walking up to his table and seeing Jim Shooter, and I saw that name so many times in comic books that I was so excited to read, and that I was happy to when I was done reading and hearing him talk. And I wish I had a chance to meet Sal too. That's kind of where I'm going with that. And we lost another great one, and I'm going to continue admiring his work for a long time. So rest in peace, Sal Buscema. And I know that a lot of people out there, including myself, are very touched by your work. Here's something I'm safe to say I bet you that was touched by Sal Buscema's work. Nick Barucci in the chat. What's up, Nick? Thanks for being here. Thanks for jumping in, and thank you very much for the kind words about hitting the thumbs up. We appreciate it very much. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I always encourage people, meet your creative heroes whenever you can, because you never know what's going to happen. And with that, that's the spin I will put on that as a kind of a loose positive. We try to do the most we can with positive information. It's really hard with something like that, but he had an amazing career. Okay, so Mr. Mopar YouTube, what is up? I appreciate the upload. I will say, since we've introduced the vertical stream feature on the streams, we get a lot of amazing people in here who come in, and I think it gets a lot more exposure to the algorithm than our normal streams. I love it. We get off the wall questions. We have great conversations and stuff. So it's great. Thank you very much for being here, by the way. If I were to hypothetically give you $5,000, would you consider shaving your beard on stream? Would I yeah, here's the answer to your question. Yes, I would consider it. You bet. If you were to do that, actually, yeah, sorry, I'm reading out on the comments. It's something I've been thinking about recently. Is I've been thinking about going back down to what I had before, which is kind of more of like in my head, because of my age, I always think of it as like a Commander Riker length beard. I don't know. I've heard executive beard. I've heard that applied to it a few times. No, yeah, I understood. But yeah, that's why I would consider it. But it's so, Mr. Mopar, one thing you should know, if you don't know already, pretty much every year for the last 4 years, I've done charity streams to raise money for veterans. And I'll share with you this little nugget. Going into those streams, because people are weird about charity stuff sometimes, I've always had this like sinking feeling like, gosh, I hope nobody asks me to do this. And here's the biggest reason why, because it would scare the crap out of my daughter if I did that. And my wife probably would be okay with it because she's seen me through all various stages of facial hair, but um I would worry about that. But hey, if it was, for charity or something like that, it'd be hard not to go ahead and do that, I think is kind of what I have to say. It's behind a paywall. But I love this comment. I want to go back to it. Nick actually makes some comics, Chris. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. In fact, he made a comic that this guy, Comic Tropes, did the cover for. It's a Vampirella book. And I backed that indie, I think it was Indiegogo, and got the Virgin and had Comic Tropes do a remark and signature at the top of that book. Great parody of a lot of famous comic tropes on a Vampirella cover. But yeah, shout out to Nick and Dynamite and Dynamic Forces, which are involved, by the way, on the backside with, and Nick has a show on the EXP, which is one of the channels we're streaming to. So another good reason why you should go subscribe to the EXP. Acres of Movie says, I love Livewire. I would like Frances McDormand or Angela Bassett. Who would you like to play Livewire? I assume is the other part of that sentence. You know what? Since I asked that question earlier, I am not as familiar with Livewire outside of the animated interpretation. So if you want to recommend some Livewire stories, I would love to go and check out some stories before I just kind of off the cuff make a casting recommendation. I'm going to go ahead and go with your casting recommendations. Now, I would say, you know the character better than I do. I'm pretty sure about that. But that would be kind of an, isn't she supposed to be a younger character? I shouldn't say hero, a younger character than those fine actresses. So are you going for more of a mature later in her career kind of version of the character? That's very interesting. I liked it. So for our next piece of news, I want to talk about this real fast. Speaking of my daughter, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just curious. I'm just curious because I would think of with the DC new universe being so new, I try to cast younger people probably. Oh man, I got to read the comments here. You know what? I've got to remove this for a second. So this is great. So Livewire's most acclaimed comic is probably the Lobo paramilitary abuse special, where she beats up Commander Steel. That's pretty fun. I like that. And Bigby says Ana de Armas as Livewire. Now you gotta understand that there's a couple things on this show that when people mention, we are contractually obligated to play certain things when people mention people's names, like Ana de Armas there. But I do need to shorten this clip, so I'll warn you, it's a little long, but bear with me as we have to talk about Ana de Armas for a second.
Anna with your smoky eyes, dancing through ballerina, kiss me goodbye. You throw a punch, I say please, I'd like another. After Blade Runner, I'll never recover. Anna with your smoky eyes, dancing through ballerina, kiss me goodbye. You throw a punch, I say please, I'd like another. After Blade Runner, I'll never recover.
Hydra Sum says Bigby for the win because he knew it was going to happen. Kristen Stewart for Livewire. She'd never do it. I really was that movie called Under? Was it called Undertow? She did a thriller, underwater thriller, where like a underwater base gets attacked by a creature and she has to evacuate. It was pretty good. I actually got kind of a new respect for Kristen Stewart after that. I hadn't really seen her in anything I really kind of saw her acting chops in before that, but that'd be fun. I like that. Trying to get on to the next news story real fast. And this is about K-pop demon hunters graphic novel that's coming out next month. I'm really excited about this. This is something I can't wait to read with my daughter. I know she's gonna be absolutely thrilled to learn about this. There's graphic novel adaptations that are going to release. I think there's 4, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go back down and double check here, but the first one releases next month. Um, and they did like a kind of a whole wave, a whole series of publications for K-pop Demon Hunters. But the first 4 coming out, yeah, this is the 4. So you got Tokyo Takedown, California Curse, Rivals in Rome, and Ghosted in Greece. These were aimed at middle grade readers, is what I saw looking at the publication release for it. So underwater, that sounds about right, Chris. But yeah, I'm excited. These are going to be really fun, I think. There's also, it doesn't mention this in this article because this is from Bleeding Cool. They tend to focus on the comic side of things, but there was like a little golden book and a couple other things that came out over the winter. But nobody expected K-pop Demon Hunters, especially Netflix, to be as big of a hit as it was. And so these things are all behind. They're all pretty behind. Yeah, it took almost 7 weeks. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, they're just they're rushing to get this stuff out, and there's some figures and stuff coming out too, which is really cool. So yeah, I think there's some interesting stuff here. Definitely looking forward to checking that out. Shout out to Bleeding Cool for having the scoop on that one. Every other article I found was referencing that article, and then there was just the Penguin Random House press release. So chose them, and great job on covering that. And let's see, what else do we want to talk about? There's 2 more definite news stories I want to get to. This one, yeah, and it won a bunch of Grammys too, didn't it? I think it did. So this is pretty interesting. Actually, I know this article referenced a different one. So let me look for the original here. 1 second. I want a different source here for this one because I think they're the first ones that covered it, and it is Bleeding Cool again. Shout out to Rich over there for being first on this one. So there's these Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, and Doctor Doom Ultimate Endgame blind bags. That's a word salad right there, right? So there were 4 sketches done by Robert Downey Jr. 2 of them were Iron Man, and 2 of them were Doctor Doom. And they were on a blank sketch variant cover, randomly inserted into blind bags for Ultimate Endgame that Marvel put out. The blind bags, I believe there was 500,000 printed, according to this article. Here's some pictures. Oh, is that not? Oh, I'm showing the other article. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm showing the search results is what I'm showing. My bad. Rookie mistake. Okay, here we go. Nope. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's the kind of what they looked like. First of all, shout out to Robert Downey Jr. That Iron Man's pretty cool. I like that. Doctor Doom, it's a little more basic, but I mean, wouldn't you be stoked to have these? So this is interesting. And actually, I do need to go back because there is one more bit of news here. And this is what I really want to talk about. And it is that a fake version of this sold for $3,500 on eBay. And it is definitely fake. Like, you can tell. Because it was based on the preliminary art that was released for what's going to come out, and it differed from the final version that was shown. Also, apparently, there's a specific catchphrase on the back of those particular variants that was not available on the back of the regular sketch covers. And this person used the regular sketch covers, whipped out a version that looks like what came out, which is this is what you see in this listing. And then this is a sold listing for $3,500 on eBay. Now, the same seller also released a batch of books that included a separate sale the RDJ variant. I'll actually load that up real fast just to show you the eBay listing here. So it's this pack of 6 Doom books, including a second fake sketch. That's a different sale, and it sold for a little over $3,500 as well. So, man, I know that this article mentioned that they reached out to Cheesehead Comics as a seller on eBay, so you can go ahead and avoid them. And asked for a comment, and of course didn't get any. But that's interesting. That's interesting. I wonder if eBay will punish the seller for selling fraudulent material if they're properly notified about it. I would hope so. And yeah, that's just a really interesting situation. I hope nobody gets got by these. Oh, should probably just show the covers off here a little bit more, and then show the difference on how we copied it. They got 2 rare blind bags. What are the odds, right? 2. So I guess the odds would be, let's see, 1 in 250 million or 1 in 250,000. So 1 in 125,000. But then the odds of hitting those both together, I think would probably be astronomical, right? I'd have to have C3PO calculate the odds on that one, or somebody who took statistics in at least high school. Tell me how you do the math on that, but that is awful. And then so the positive spin, because I do want to make sure that we put a positive spin on even these really negative things, is that you're aware that this kind of stuff can happen now, and hopefully you will cover yourself out there and do a little more due diligence before hitting buy it now, or clicking stuff like that and then spending $3,500. It's too bad, because that is a pretty cool thing. I'm not huge on having actors sign comics unless it's like a photo cover or something that's like they're so tied to the character that they're almost intrinsic to that character now. And I kind of feel that way about Robert Downey Jr. I think he's I wouldn't really want him to sign like an original, Tales of Suspense, first appearance of Iron Man kind of thing. I don't think I'd go that far, but like an Iron Man 1, maybe. Maybe this is in poor taste. I always thought it'd be really cool to have him sign the Demon in a Bottle comic, because it's such a part of Robert Downey Jr.'s life, and it's a part of what makes Tony Stark a great character, as he was recovering addict, alcoholic, and so anyways, I just think that'd be interesting. This next article, this is one I'll be struggling to put a positive spin on. And really, it's going to come down a lot to how you view information in the digital age. But so Neil Gaiman, obviously legendary writer for Sandman and novelist, has been embroiled in sexual misconduct, abuse, everything essentially that you can think of under the sun. I think Variety is pretty kind when they say sexual misconduct allegations here. For a couple of years now, since that came out, and it's been about a year since he's last commented on this. He's now coming out and saying that it was a smear campaign. Look, so I'm gonna front load this before I just read the article. I'm gonna front load this with telling you I don't buy it. Sorry, I don't buy it. But make your own decisions, of course, based on the information, because false allegations can and do exist. It is a thing that's possible. Here's why this strikes me as being ringing a little untrue. As far as him just saying like, oh, this is just people who, made the things out to be worse than they are. The first thing is he's very quick in talking about this to talk about a new project he's doing. Toward the end of Gaiman's Monday statement, he revealed he is working on a new book. It's been strange, turbulent, and occasionally nightmarish year and a half, and I took my own advice, and when things get tough, make good art. And once I have done this making television, I went back to, first of all, television was done making stuff with you, but anyhow, I went back to doing something I love even more, which is writing. I thought it was going to be a fairly short project. It became this biggest thing I've done since American Gods. It's already much longer than Ocean at the End of the Lane, and it's barely finished, wiping its boots and hanging up its coat. and I spend half of every month being a full-time dad, which, if you know some of the allegations and what he supposedly did to his son, is bad. Although Amanda Palmer isn't free, his ex-wife isn't free from the allegations as well. So it's bad all around, probably, allegedly, I guess is the correct thing to say. So that's one thing that kind of, it's like, what, you're promoting your new book. So okay, so you're not just coming out to refute this. The other thing is, he talks at length about a person he wanted to thank, who was out there proving that he was falsely accused. And I looked up another article, I think it was, to find more information about this. And I looked up some of what that person was saying, and they seemed, honestly, like he's praising this person as being like the only journalist who was willing to look beyond the allegations and look into the facts. And I don't know. I looked into a few of the things, and it didn't seem very convincing to me, to prove anything. There's a bunch of WhatsApp messages that are screenshots that were supposedly exonerating him, but people can say things in messages, and then something different can happen in real life. That's also true. And just somehow this went. Thank you. Yeah, it's technopathy, which it's kind of a weird. They also claim to be one of the first journalists online in 2010, according to their bio, which is also pretty flimsy. But it does sound like, yeah, it sounds like, here's my PR spin on it. Now, I will say, in my opinion, very slim chance that it's false allegations. It would be tragic that this happened, but there's so much pointing to it. It's for one thing, Amanda Palmer's involvement. It's not like, if you read through all the documents, it's not like she was uninvolved. And if that had been the case, it might have been a little bit more believable. But the fact that she also was named and involved makes it seem like, they're into some pretty weird stuff. You look at some of the stuff that he's written. The Calliope story in Sandman is pretty messed up in hindsight, for example. There's definitely some strange things in here. So along those lines, shout out to Stacy for asking if I would want a Leisure Suit Larry movie. You know what? I am of an age where Leisure Suit Larry games were a big deal when I was in my formative years. But I don't think I ever played one. I definitely know what they are, but I don't think I ever played one. I don't know what a movie would really look like. So probably not. I'm a big fan of, I think it was a point and click adventure game, right? I'm a fan of those. And I think some of those might make fun adaptations to films. But I don't know how that one would look. And maybe it would be a great one. I don't know. I know that a lot of that was viewed as being kind of scuzzy, and I believe is often defended as being a little more tongue-in-cheek, but I never played them, so I can't really speak on it. And thank you, Chris. This is another point I wanted to make. I just kind of got jumbled there a little bit. New York Magazine said they spoke to 9 accusers. And I think he has maybe a fair case with part of what this one accuser said, Pavlovich, but it's probably kind of my gut. And I'm not saying this is the truth, but after reading all of this, and I've been following closely because Neil Gaiman was a literary hero of mine. I'm not afraid to say he was, and it's been kind of disgusting to read about all this stuff. And I do have a tendency to believe the victims in this case. It just kind of comes across as you read enough interactions that people have had with Neil Gaiman over the years. Some of the things he said, some of the, things out of hindsight, the fact that there's multiple accusers, which doesn't always mean it, but in this case, it seems like he's really pushing back on the one. And like Chris said there, he's not pushing back on the others as much. So it does seem to be like there's more going on here. And, let's face it, this all happened or at least with the seeds were planted of this during an era where this kind of stuff was often overlooked or swept under the rug for the wrong reasons. And so I think it does kind of have an air of truth to it, unfortunately. And I wish that wasn't the case. I really do. I want it to not be true. Not only can bad people still be good artists, Big B, but I also feel like often cases bad people can be great artists, because I don't know if there's a universal truth to this, but there is something that also rings true about the tortured artist trope, if you will. And I think that that's something that definitely kind of comes through in that. So with that said, I'm at a loss to put a positive spin on it, just to be honest with you. I really am. So I'm just going to move on and talk about our final segment of the night, which is positive. Here's the positive spin. Let's talk about some of your comic book community art that you've shared with us. And before we do that, let's check out some of that comic community art from the past and hear that bitchin' intro.
Sent from you to us, it's art for all. At Best Coast Comics, we answer the call. Fans and creators, bold and smart, join the line for comic
I don't want to pass over this comment real fast from Chris. And this is why I'm not fully coming out and being like, this is why I leave the window of there is a possibility that this is a mischaracterization about the Neil Gaiman story we were just talking about. It's tough. I want to give people a measure of grace because of how bad things went for a friend. I'm not going to get into those details. I think I know what he's talking about. I'm not going to get into those details, but what I am going to say is it does happen. People do get falsely accused. People do get tried and convicted in the court of public opinion. And I have been wrong personally about people that have been accused of stuff before. So don't take my word as law on that one by any stretch of the imagination. But I will just tell you my gut feeling. And I will tell you the news is out there. Neil Gaiman trying to come back. I know some people were caught off guard by that. And that's kind of why I mentioned it. I was seeing some of that conversation on social media earlier today. So there we are. Okay, so this is my Discord server where, by the way, Vic Med just joined up and said hello. I make sure I share that screen there. So this is my Discord server here. Vic Med just joined in, and I made sure to wave back with my little emoji guys here. This is where the main channel where you can see things like the channel, scheduling shows, that kind of stuff. Big B is in here as well. Here's all the channels. We got the news, all that stuff. And then here is what we're going to talk about now, which is the community art section. I got to go back up a little bit. Let me see if I can remember what the last thing we shared was. So Ed posted that. I think we talked about that and that one. I think this. Oof, we're going to go ahead and just kind of quickly show these. So try to make sure we don't, miss anybody is the biggest point here. So Erwin Papa is in here and he posts some amazing stuff. This is some great stuff from Erwin here. This is his Death Fight Forever cover there. That's really cool. I like that a lot. I love anytime he does these kind of like almost like what I'll call like notebook sketches. It's a remark on Death Fight Forever hardcover that he did there. So that's the remark on the left and then the cover on the right there. If I do that, that makes that a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay. That's what she said. So, good job, Erwin. I know there's more art from Erwin down below, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to keep talking about him. I'm not trying to gloss over that. Headless Hammerhead has been doing this Mesoamerican game, and he's been doing some art cards for it. So this is the sacrificial offering card for us. That's kind of, so you understand some of what's going on there visually. That's really cool. He's been doing a great job on this. I don't have a lot of exposure to Mesoamerican art, so it's been really cool to see what some of what he's posting. Okay, so he said The last thing we showed was the piece that I picked up. Okay, so if that's true, then we got 2 more here. I'll show them real quick. These are also from Headless Hammerhead, and that's amazing. I mean, this is really cool. There's a lot going on here. Don't get me wrong. Out of the 2, that one, all of that is just stunning. And he says that the first one is Voice of the Outer Ones, and the second one is Forbid. They're watercolor, acrylic, marker, ink, gouache, I think I pronounced that correctly, and white chalk marker. Unlike other spell cards I did, these were completed on comic backing boards because I ran out of canvases and couldn't wait for delivery. Great job. And then this one is Cleanse the Blood, final inks and initial line art on canvas board. It was mostly watercolor with liner pen. So I'll kind of go backwards. So here's the initial gouache. Thank you very much. I'm not good with pronouncing words I don't have in my normal vernacular. And then that's really cool to see that progress there. And then the final. Very awesome. Hey, Headless, you're killing it, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. And then this is a couple commissions he did. Anybody, you're all free to come in here and share your artwork at any level that you're an artist at. Beginner, doesn't matter. He loves drawing pets. For a long time, he was doing commissions of people's pets. Stuff of Nightmares there. That's really cool. Little Siamese cat going on. Love Rocketeer. Love Rocketeer. Acres. Sorry, I almost called you Aces. I was thinking of Rocketeer. There we go. So that is, I think these pictures are a little jumbled. So there's the cat that first one was based on, and here's the dog that's very captured the likeness very well there, and awesome to use an Animal Castle blank for that. Yeah, like Baby says, definitely, please share. We do love it. Yeah, so here's more from Irwin. I love this kind of, I'm sure there's a real term for this. I'm sorry, to me, that I think Andy Warhol when I see this. I don't, postmodernism or something maybe. I don't really know the correct terminology to use, but got some Absolute Batman. He's been doing, I think, several Absolute Batmans recently, and I love when he draws like big characters too. And love the color treatments here. Nice. I get a very Andy Warhol vibe from that. I'm going to give that a live fire reaction there. Oh, more from Headless. Finally finished the second piece in this collection. This is Red Elephant. It's mostly pink, but whatever. Mixed media on canvas. Next up, he's going to do the Yellow Octopus. Oh, that's cool. Wow. I like that a lot. Pop art. Okay, cool. Where's Pop Sequentialism when I need him? I figure that's like right up his alley too. But thank you very much, Chris. And there's Yellow Octopus. I'm getting some Beale vibes there from the Octopus's Garden, kind of. I don't know why. It's the connection I make, but I can't wait to see how that one gets finished out. Very cool. Well done. So sorry, it seems like I have so many pieces I've shared this time around, but you guys have been off the air for a few weeks. That's true. Commissioned portrait of Youngblood is graphite, ink, marker, and watercolor on cardstock. The collage piece includes mixed media, all highlighting some aspect of his life or past. Can you name all 13? I know I can't. Maybe you can. Very cool. I like the central, I'm going to use almost Halo-esque effect there. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Well done. Irwin's sharing from the Ghost Man, Angriest Warrior flip book anthology from Brunson, who's in here as well, and himself. Oh, very cool. Nice. I love all the pins on the jacket there. Oh, right on. Very cool. There's a little zoomed out shot of it. I like it. Good job, Irwin. Rio 691 and the V Yapper. This might be from around 2018. Also very cool. That's awesome. And looks like we have, this is from 2018. It's the Super Sentai team of Hyper Violence, Hyper Peace Kill Ranger. The villains seen below are Queen Gore and King Gore. That's like, is that related to Power Rangers? I'm sorry. This is not my area of expertise, folks. So don't hate me for being wrong if I am. 2019 Simpsons. Oh, that's cool. Okay, these characters I am familiar with. I am familiar with these characters. That's a very cool interpretation. I think my favorite's the Lisa there, but I love the use of the kind of cap there for Bart. That's really cool. That's great. And then also from around 2018, 2019, got a little Masters of the Universe there. Dude, that panel alone is just so dope. Very cool. More fake comics, just using this comic book page structure as an excuse to draw portraits and add non sequitur in 2018 and 2019. That's a terrible story. Oh, hee hee, there's more. Hee hee. And again, we got the pins there. Also great. More from Headless. This is Curses, watercolor ink, graphite marker, white chalk marker on cardstock, comic backing board. Love that. God, I got Irwin and Headless were just killing it. This is Bigby McFly. I believe this was a sketch card, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I got that right. Very cool. Something scary like that. And here's the surfer he's been working on. He started this on every Sunday night, him and a whole host of other community artists, Edward and Irwin, maybe not Irwin, Yevgeny, a lot of guys. I'm probably mixing up the names at this point. Nerdy Musings, all these people do live art streams. So definitely check that out. I know Big B streams on his channel. They all stream it to their own individual channels. But here's kind of that surfer progress that he's made. That's really cool. He was starting this last Sunday, excuse me, not yesterday, but the previous one. And then we got some progress there on a Chamber of Chills. It looks like that's cool. Nice. And then yeah, I love it. I love it. I feel like I've been a bad influence on Big B, or a good influence, maybe that. So I should look at that. But I got some progress there on his. Oh, that's cool. He did like a turn on that one. I like that. Nice. And then what do we got here? Oh, Space Girls sketch cards. Oh, that was from the top. Okay, sorry. Obviously, it's I'm not used to reading it that way. But yeah, there we go. We got the team picture. God, that's cool. Love it. Killing it, homie. It's a commission gift. There we go. And then this is Trav, Comics Limited. Nice. Ray Gun Rachel. That's cool. I like that a lot. And then this is a little more progress on a piece you've been working on before, I think. Love the ROM there. Oh, there we go. That's awesome too. Yeah. And then Yevgeny posting his latest Absolute Wonder Woman 11x17. Holy crap. Yeah, that's amazing. I got to zoom in for the line work on that because I want to make sure everybody sees that. I think Yevgeny's getting ready to start selling prints too. So if you're a fan of Yevgeny Sokolov and what we've been sharing on here, I know he just did some giveaways on his Instagram page and he was talking about selling some prints, I believe. So go give him a follow there. This is what James Nerdy Musings was working on the previous show that I did catch a little part of. I know he was working kind of on the briefs there when I was watching. We were talking about that. And then Steve Driscoll doing Phantom Lady there. That's awesome. Inspired by Matt Baker. I like that. Very well done, Steve. And then, oh yeah, he shared these with me too. Right. These were some tryouts that Big B was working on back in the early 2000s. So I'm going to zoom in on that because we got a lot of line work in there too. So very cool. I remember seeing these before and really digging these. Part of the odds, guys. Need to get to bed early tonight, I think. We're almost done with the show for those of you watching at home. The Freak Show. A little booty action in the background there. Nice. Very good. Very, very good, Big B. And we got Stevie and James and Yevgeny, Travis. We had a lot of Headless Hammerhead and Irwin art in there, kind of posted. Sorry, we had to kind of play catch up on a few of you guys because we were doing different things, but great job on the community art. Let's go back and make sure I catch up with chat. Burley, please share. We love it. Pop art. What is your favorite zoo you have visited, and what one do you want to visit the most? Boy, I'm most familiar with the Portland Zoo just based on where I live. I'm not like a wide traveled zoo visitor. There was the wildlife refuge I'll call it a zoo, but it's technically not a zoo, that they had at the Mirage in Las Vegas. That was amazing, seeing dolphins and white tigers and all kinds of rare animals. That was pretty amazing. So that's probably those. I don't know which one I'd like to visit the most. Seeing animals in captivity is a mixed blessing for me. That elephant and octopus. Wow. Yeah, I agree. I was swimming the other day, and it occurred to me that I would have liked to see Rick Moranis be Incredible Hulk, maybe in the early '90s. Would that have been good? Train him up with Bonnie by Jake. Yeah, I think he would have been an interesting Bruce Banner, but I think the way storytelling was done at the time wouldn't have done it justice. I think in hindsight, that's one of those things that makes more sense. Top Cow has a talent hunt contest right now. Very specific rules, but some artists may want to look into it. That's a very good tip, especially for some of our community art submitters, for all of them, for that matter. You might want to check into that. Thanks for sharing that, Chris. Scorsese calls you like, okay, I'm going to be 20 years younger. I'm actually 20 years younger now, and I'm actually interested in making a comic book movie. What comic book movie do I make, and who to cast? I don't think Martin Scorsese would do that, because Martin Scorsese famously hates comic book movies. That's my answer is going to be into that. Bigby's turned into a baker. Some famous Drew posters that I can share. I enjoyed working with him. Oh, okay, right on. Absolutely. Please do. That would be amazing. Please do. Yeah, a lot of awesome stuff. If they're doing a Simpsons live action, would you like Marge Simpson, Pam Grier, if she was maybe in the mid 90s? I don't know. I think you're very into casting questions, and I have a hard time thinking about that, because I have a hard time disassociating characters that I'm very familiar with from their representation that they've already had. So it's hard for me to associate a different person playing that. That said, most of the time I end up loving whoever ends up playing those characters, with some notable exceptions. But I don't know. I'm not the best person for those kind of hypotheticals usually. There's a couple things I love to fan cast in my head, and I always hate the results. Like, I love the process of doing it, and then I'm like, I don't actually want this to get made now. I'm actually very interested in the movie posters thing. I used to work for movie theaters, and I was a projectionist and all that, and a manager and stuff. And movie posters are something that I kind of fell in love with during that time. Like, I have some one sheets like Spider-Man and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and Fight Club and a few other ones from that time. And the art of movie posters is really interesting to me. That's a stacked March. I love it. not necessarily just that she's a stacked March, but there you go. Let's see. So we have a new show coming up on Monday. It'll be Monday from this week. Baby, if you got something that's coming out besides the Sunday art stream that you're doing next Sunday, please let us know in the chat if you're still hanging around. Otherwise, hope you're getting some good rest, brother. Yes, I did. Actually, on my Chris asked, did I ever have to escort patrons out of a theater? On my very first day as an usher, I escorted patrons that were smoking crack in a theater out. I was just like, okay, I guess this is part of the job. There was actually a couple women that were working that weren't comfortable confronting them. The manager didn't handle it for some reason, and looking back on it, they totally should have. And I was just like, okay, I guess this is my job. So I went in there and did it. I just didn't know any better. Probably not smart in hindsight. Oh, for what movie? I believe it would have been the Blair Witch Project 2, but I could be mistaken. It would have been around that time. Yeah. Did you not see his younger bouncer picture? That's funny. Oh, that actually makes sense. By the way, shout out to Figure Drawing. What's up, Figure Drawing? But yeah, we'll have that going on, and next Monday, and then, like I said, the last Monday of okay, so I'll just answer this one since I did see it come through. I won't see it in theaters. I will want to see it when it hits home release. I've been intrigued by the trailer, but I don't get to go to the movie theaters very often. I don't have one near me, for one thing. I have to kind of travel to get to one. So, but no, I never escorted patrons. No, I didn't do that. Anyhow, yeah, so we'll be back at the final Monday of every month now with those special claim sales. Again, 10% of all the profits we make for that are going to go to Heroes for Heroes. So please stay tuned for those. Can't I point to that bouncer picture? I love it. You guys have all been great. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to all the new faces. Please leave those comments, even if you're watching on the rewind down below. We'd love to hear about things you want to hear us talk about, shows you'd like to see us do, topics you'd like to see us cover. Some good ones came up earlier today that I'll definitely be filing away for future topics. Thanks everybody for being here. Shout out to Joel and that setup for Emerald City Comic Con next month. So definitely stay tuned for that. Basically, if you want to be there and see me on a panel, I'll be there on Saturday. Stay tuned to their website and stuff for information about that. And yeah, have a good week, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe out there.